Yeah, they asked me to talk a little bit about the Royal Gaboon, which is truly one of the funnest races in the yacht club.
Everyone who took part in it really loved it because it was sort of a do your own thing, you know, anything goes.
Any way you could get down there sailing or paddling or whatever was legal. You could put any kind of sail on your boat or anything.
It was one of those Rube Goldberg type regattas where anything goes, but you got to have fun. That's the number one thing.
Here's the newspaper article of them tipping the boats over and dragging them under the causeway.
Get out and push the boat or inner tube, you know, or whatever.
We would sail whatever we had, Flying Dutchman, thistles, windmills, anything, e-scows, whatever you had to sail.
Catamaran sailing, planing boats, Flying Dutchmans, everything you could imagine would sail.
The Royal Gaboon was formulated by two people. One of them was W.W. Jennings, Dr. W.W. Jennings, who was John's father, and another fellow who became Commodore as well. His name was John Wilhelm.
Only rules: wind and sails, muscles of crew, no ratings, no engines, no tow lines. And if you read through it, it's humorous the way they write stuff about how to race it.
Do you know the story of the trophy, where the trophy came from?
Is this the spittoon? Yeah.
It's an old spittoon that they converted from a bar in New Orleans, is the story I heard. I don't know the exact story.
John Jennings' father brought that back from New Orleans, as I recall.
They found a spittoon in New Orleans again, and they brought it back and they created this race, and this race was from St. Petersburg to Sarasota.
He got that, I think, at we won't mention where in New Orleans, but he brought back and that became the award for the Gaboon.
And it seemed to be the appropriate, you know, trophy to represent this crazy event. I won't call it a race.
It was a Speeder Fleeter memento. Everybody who entered got one. These were all card figures by a fellow named Jonathan Jones down on Salt Creek. And this one says 62, from 1962. Most of them say Speeder Fleeter on them. I have about 10 or 12 of these at home. I sailed in most of them with my dad, not all of them, but it's a distinctive little character and a great way to memorialize the regatta. Every year they would give to the participants a wooden card figure that I think Jonathan Jones did these as well. But this year, and they're always, every year was different. This 1964 was obviously a whale. But there were seagulls, there were little fish, there were pelicans. There was one that was just a little gaboon, miniature gaboon on a wooden pedestal. But every year I got one of these, so I have a big collection of these.
I sailed a Tiger Cat, and Eddie Sherman was my crew. And we went down and got to the bridge right before the yacht club at Sarasota Yacht Club, and had to turn the boat over to get underneath the bridge. And we were there, but Frank Levinson, Flying Dutchman, wasn't that far behind. He came up and passed us walking the boat through the bridge. So he wound up winning it, we were second.
We knew that we could turn the boat over and turn it back up, because the boat it was 22 feet long, but it was real light and it was decked, so we could flip it on its side, which meant we did not have to go around an island, which was about 7 miles. We could flip it underneath a bridge that didn't go up, and we could go through and save 7 miles, which is a lot of time.
One year, Tom Pierce and I took a fish boat on the Royal Gaboon race, and we had a couple girls with us, I might add. And we went to John Martin, who then was the sailing master, and he knew we were pretty good sailors. He says, "We're going to take the boat. When are you going?" I said, "Now." That was the day before the race. Now, you could cheat there. Anything goes. I don't think they really thought we should go a day ahead, but the fish boats compared to Class A scows and Class E scows and these Y flyers and all that, they weren't that fast compared to them. So we took off plenty of beer on board. Don't ask us where we got that because that was not legal. And we went over to Mullakee, spent the night, got on top of the fort, and where we could see the fleet coming down, and we meshed in with them at the bulkhead where you go into the intercoastal waterway. And I remember people looking, "Are you in the race?" They said, "Yeah." Well, what the heck? They couldn't figure out what's a fish boat doing up there in my 5th or 6th place. And we finished. And then they, at the trophy presentations, they gave us special accolades for being the first time a fish boat has ever finished this high in the fleet. We got a Peter Speeder Fleeter things, and then we got bored and we left at 11 o'clock at night. But it was one of these crazy things we had a lot of fun doing.
The Gaboon race was, I'll never forget, is probably, we were 14 years old down in Sarasota, sleeping on the grass in the backyard because there was no place else to go for us. And in the morning, we hear this powerboat backed up to us, the old guy saying, "Come on, boys, wake up, breakfast is ready." And it was Gidge Gandy, you know. Can you believe that? I mean, that's just an amazing experience for me. I'm not positive, but I think that was one year we sailed. Donnie had a suicide, and that was the real skinny narrow boat that just flipped on for nothing. And I remember we pretty much got over to the seawall on the beaches and pulled it all the way down past Ponce Point. There was no wind, but in those days you would those smaller boats, we'd just flip them over and sink them and go under the low bridge and not go through around the channel because of the short way to the dock to be there first. And when we sailed down with those things, we couldn't afford rooms and stuff. We would sleep on boats. I mean, I slept under sails and thistles and lightnings, and that's just the way it was. But we had a great time. Racing back in those days we raced really hard, but it was always about racing to the next party. And they were great parties.
And one year a front went through late, and Halsey or Harvey, I don't know who it is, put a masthead chute on it and had a chute from probably a 30 or 40 foot boat. They planed all the way down to the field club, and it was quite an event. Another year was Charlie Morgan had all these Morgan 22s, and my mom sailed one, Sally Morey, and a number of other people, and they had these big 2x12s with 8 and 6 people out there to try to keep them flat.
The other thing we had was a buddy of mine named Eddie Quicksaw. His father was Dr. Quicksaw. They were members of the yacht club for years. He had a glass bar, a 16-foot glass bar with two 35s on it. And he got 3 other guys, and my dad knew nothing about this. And we started the race. There's no wind, and they're paddling. And there's 3 of us. My father is, he wasn't exactly a big rower. Then the other fellow that was with us was younger than I, and so we're paddling away and we're killing each other or dying from paddling. My friend got 4 other people that my father knew nothing about, and my father was telling us, slow down, you're going to wear yourself out, you're never going to be able to keep paddling. And about this time, this outboard comes flying up, and 3 people jump off onto the boat, and we have 5 people paddling, and my dad's steering, and we have a motorboat going along beside us, and we kept rotating off the boat as we were going down, so we were able to pick up a pretty good pace. And there were 2 boats that pulled out. One was us, and another one was Eddie Sherman in a thistle. And the problem with Sherman had, when they got to the bridge, a thistle you cannot turn a thistle on its side. It doesn't have any deck at all. So what they had done, they'd been practicing with a raft, that they could flip it onto a raft. Well, they were ahead. They got some breeze off the shore that nobody else got, and they got way out ahead, but we actually ground them down paddling, and then the breeze shifted a little bit, and they had this big, powerful jetty. And we had a bigger jetty, but not nearly as powerful as theirs when the breeze started coming in. I got in a boat and I went up there and I said, oh shoot, sooner or later you're going to be able to bear away, you're going to be able to put a chute up, and we don't have one, so well, it was a good try, we gave it a good shot, and but we don't have one, so I guess you're just going to sail away. And they go, they just kind of said, yeah. Well, they bore off a little bit, they put the chute up, but they did it too early. The jetty was more powerful. so they slowed down a bit, and we were able to come up closer. And then when the wind bore off a little bit more, that chute we didn't have came out from underneath and was set, and we shot by them, and the rest is, like they say, the rest is history.
I've been on the winning boat twice, once with my father, and the other time on another boat with Commodore Clark. But one year we had the honor of my mom finishing first. My dad wasn't very happy about that. He would finish second, and I finished third, which was kind of our little claim to fame in the sailing world. But it was a lot of fun, and I'll tell you, they ought to bring that regatta back, because I think that would do well.